The major problem at that time was what's going to happen to those refugees. They are not living under any normal condition. And of course, when human beings are gathered overcrowdedly in one place, one would expect the worst. Lots of communicable diseases and epidemics of diseases, and this was the major worry. So UNRWA looked around and found that I can help as an experienced sanitarian. So I came over here and started establishing a new sanitation division. The major problem was everybody was coming to say that, God forbid, we may have epidemics. God forbid, anything may go wrong, and then we may have hundreds of thousands of casualties, people dying from cholera or from whatever, those communicable diseases associated with poor sanitation. You know, there were, for instance, in the Jordan Valley, where we had most of our camps at the first stage, no potable water was available, not even for the local people. And we had to improvise, find some ways to clarify the water, give them something to drink safe and healthy. At least, if not healthy, it is not really loaded with organisms that may create diseases. No shelters, no latrines, no waste disposal. And we did a good job, I think. The result was that no epidemics, no communicable diseases, outbreaks, and nothing of this sort.
I think what made things better for the refugees in '67 and displaced persons is UNRWA was there with the experience in '48 or after '48. They were ready, not like in '48 where just nobody knows who's responsible for what. UNRWA was there to help, and with their experience they helped the refugees from West Bank plus the displaced persons, as mentioned. They were provided for or paid for by the government of Jordan.
Now, I used to be the first one to work on this tent erection business. We got tents, picnic tents, not army type tents or something like this. Picnic tents donated from all over the world, east and west, with different catalogs in different languages and different ways of how to erect it. Then I had to decipher this and to train the people on how to erect it. And the best way to train is to do it yourself. So I think I erected more tents than any other laborer working in the tent pitching business. So how to show them how to communicate, to connect, the pieces of tubes and other things, how to take the ropes, how to put the wedges in the ground, and how to make it a livable place.
When you stand in the middle of this and you have these desperate people who have lost everything and they don't know what's going to happen to them, I assume they vent their frustration on you. You become a sounding board.
Certainly. You didn't satisfy anybody. Do whatever you have to do. Break your neck trying to help them. And you are the first one to get their abuse. But we understood. This is not the first time, at least for me, for Mahmoud and people of his age. That was their first encounter. For me, no, it was not. I was an old hand by then. So it was normal that you expect it from the people and you don't blame them for that. If you understand their problem, you try to. Sometimes, you can't take it any longer and you have to burst your head off and say, all right, enough of that, you go to hell if you don't like it. But most of the time, you have to accommodate them. In the first place, in 1967 itself, lots of our colleagues and staff members used to give up and say, all right, I can't do anything more now. I am totally exhausted. I can't do anything. And you do whatever you want to do with me. Fire me if you want. I was fired maybe 20 times a day by the director of UNRWA Affairs then. And he lost his nerves. The first week, one day, the field health officer, Dr. Munir Musa, on our urging, told him, God bless them all now, bless their souls all now, they are all dead. Look here, Bob, if you don't behave, I will confine you to bed and say that you are unfit to run the operation. He fired him immediately. He said, all right, I am fired, but although I am fired, I will put you in bed and confine you there, and you will never be able to leave until I tell them that they can release you. Or you behave and cool down. It was more than anyone else can really tolerate. And we were around him, and whenever he sees any one of us, he fires him. At the rate of 10 or 20 times a day, and then he rehires us. One day I was fired 7 times, I remember, the maximum. He fired me 7 times in less than 12 hours. And hired me again every time. And this shows how much stress we were all under. He was firing us and we were answering back. We were not taking it. He said, look here, go to hell, you and your job. I'm not working for you now, I'm working for my people. You pay me or you don't pay me, it makes no difference. Don't talk to me, I don't belong to you anymore. Then he hires us again. We had first started with the Saqer, let us say, because the war started in June. And that was practically the end of spring and beginning of summer. And as you know, Jordan Valley is a very hot place. It's the lowest point on earth. And it was very hot. Then comes winter, as you said, and it was a wet winter. Started early, lots of rain, and no roads, no paved areas. It is all agricultural land, muddy and clayish, and you can imagine how people waded through these seas of wet land. Cars cannot run properly on them, and you find a lot of cars stuck in the mud, and then the passengers are trying to push the car rather than ride it. All of a sudden, 21st of March, I think it was 1968, the Corona War, and almost all the refugees took to the mountains, and we had to move everything under fire. I remember getting latrine slabs from latrines in the Jordan Valley with maybe 10 trucks at that time.
Superstructures
And superstructures and water
we
pipes.
just to move them from the valley
To
up
the
to
mountains.
Amman. Because after this Karami battle in March 68, thousands, or most of the refugees, they fled the valley, and they said it's better to die from cold than to die from bullets in the valley. And they all moved, and some took their tents and they were camping around Amman.
What is your advice to UNRWA workers, UNRWA staff members in Gaza, which is on fire right now? Battles raging in the street, incursions from the outside, and in the West Bank where the wall is being built, disconnecting farmers from their lands.
The only thing that one can say to his colleagues or people who are serving the people is try to keep going on. Persist. Feel with the people. Try to give them all what you can. And that's the best anyone can ask. You can't ask for more. I mean, under circumstances of cruel curfews or fighting that prevents movability, you don't expect people to go out and move and render service. But we beg them to do their best to help. Whatever they can do, not spare yourself, not spare any effort, and do whatever is humanly possible. Nobody can ask for more, I think.